fucking phone and dial. Seriously, I'm sorry. Direct sales have been working for 50 years. It's going to continue working for the next 50 years. Just go out and fucking sell.
So today I have this idea that is actually something that I have a problem with. It's not some weird out there idea. It's something I'm a potential user. So as you should all know at this point, and you should really know that, I have this newsletter called unzip.dev where it's unrelated, but I talk about developer trends. But the basic idea is I have a few subscribers and I'm getting some SEO traffic. My newsletter itself, when it's sent to the email, I have people buying sponsorship slots, which is nice. That kind of makes it a bit bearable to work on it. But the thing is, I'm having a lot of impressions coming from SEO to my website, which is the same. It has the same content as the newsletter. It's just in a website format. And I don't have any ads there. I don't have any sponsorships going on the website itself. And I was thinking that's kind of like wasted ad space. And the problem is, I don't want to go to the big ad networks because one, the ads there seem kind of like low quality. And secondly, I don't think I have the numbers that they want. But on the other hand, I have a lot of quality impressions. So the people that do come into my website are usually really, really interesting to a lot of specific companies. So I was thinking I could monetize that and actually get a decent price for that. But I don't really have that, right solution in the spectrum between, the huge ad networks and just getting like an email, right? I don't want to work on that with emails and do it manually. So I was thinking maybe there could be a product kind of in that niche. And I can talk about the product, but...
No, I think I get what you're saying. So you're essentially saying you want an SSP, I think, for like small publishers and like
SSP.
Yeah. I'll explain the concept in a moment, but essentially for people who are from ad tech, I think what Agam is referring to is kind of a self-serve ad network free SSP. So let's explain this. So generally speaking, I need to explain a few terms. Excuse me if I go a bit too deep. I don't intend to, but I hope I want to make sure that everything is clear. So an SSP is a supply side platform. A DSP is a demand side platform. And there are two players in the game of ad tech: advertisers and publishers. I'll explain DSP and SSP more. So a publisher would be like a newspaper. A newspaper that you read is monetized. It gets money by selling ads. So those little blocks on the magazine. So let's say that I am the publisher of the Dad Bod magazine. I fit the criteria. I have the Dad Bod. So I have the Dad Bod magazine and I need to monetize. So I would say ad slot. I would sell placements. We could put advertisements on the newspaper. So I would be the publisher. And let's say that there's a gym. Maybe, what's the name of that guy? We're like Alex Formosi. So the guy who runs like Gym Launch, whatever. He's like a major gym mentor type guy. So he's going to sell like ad slots on my newspaper.
Probably going to be like a beer company though. They want to keep their Dad Bod.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. For Dad Bod magazine, you want not have advertisers from gyms, but from beer companies. Let's say that Budweiser is a major advertiser.
They're not sponsoring this video, by the way.
No. Just free product placement for Budweiser. So we've got an advertiser, which is Budweiser, and a publisher, which is Dad Bod magazine. Now, Dad Bod magazine, if they want to manage their ads, if that's like an online magazine, right, not like a paper magazine, then they would need to talk to as many advertisers as possible who then bid on this placement. Basically, there's a process called real-time bidding in which many different advertisers compete over each ad slot in the newspaper, in the online magazine. Now, the platform that takes care of kind of allowing Dad Bod magazine to manage all of these many advertisers and many players in this kind of game are usually called SSPs, supply side platform. Now, generally speaking, Dad Bod magazine, which is a very popular magazine because of a very good publisher, will have many different advertisers playing for that spot of many millions of people looking at these ad slots a month. But in your case, you have a highly targeted audience, minimal amount of impressions, maybe in the tens of thousands of runs a month, something like that, not like in the millions like Dad Bod magazine. And you want to be able to manage your advertising. So tell me a little bit more about how you would have like the perfect communication with advertisers. What do you envision would be a good...
Okay. So I actually have something. Let me share my screen. I'll show you what I was thinking of.
Sure.
Here it is. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so let's imagine that this is my website. Like this big box is my content. And I have two places I want to put ad slots. So I want to put one on the side here on the right, on the sidebar, and one inside of the content itself. And maybe I want to price it differently. And maybe I even want to, like, between those two positions. And maybe I also want to price it differently between different pages, because maybe one page gets a lot more impressions than other pages. So that's the first part.
Over podcast, what Agam is showing is basically a sketch of his website with the content and a few different ad slots on the page, basically places to place.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'll try to explain it myself so we don't waste everyone's time. But basically, yeah, so this is my website with two ad slots. Now, what I want happening is when these ad slots are not taken, meaning they're empty, there will be this button to do, like, click here to buy. And when an advertiser wants to buy this space, they'll be moved into this kind of page where they can buy that specific ad slot. They'll see all the information, like the impressions, the demographics that are inside this specific page. And then they'll even get like a calendar that they can see when they can actually buy their ad slot. And maybe they can bid for that specific date or whatever. What happens in the background on my side is I have like a management system where I can approve different bids or different people that want to advertise in my newsletter. And the cool thing is it could also be recurring, right? I can say, maybe I'm giving a deal if someone's buying it for, 2 months instead of just 1 week. So I want all of this to be managed, not by myself, but by some other hosted services. And that's going to be the business. So I'm going to we can talk more about pricing later, but I'm going to pay this hosted service for taking care of notifying me when I get a bid and doing all this management. So I don't need to do it with emails. So they also agree to the terms and everything's kind of closed, and I don't need to work and do anything other than just approving the bid itself.
So let's say that I have unzip.dev on my bookmarks and I go to unzip.dev and I am a developer of developer tools and I want to go to unzip.dev and publish advertise my tool. I would go fill out the form, place a bid, then I have my advertisement shown to maybe 10,000 people a month, whatever the number is. So, and you on the backend will get that invite, be able to kind of approve it and know that you have filled the ad inventory, you kind of filled up your quota for this month of ads. Now, one thing worth mentioning here, these are not like your normal banner ads. What you're actually referring to is kind of like sponsored list sponsorships, sorts, like a sponsorship manager. Because in my opinion, like a banner ad keeps on changing. Like you'll get like retargeting and you get very highly personalized ad. That's not what happened. What's happening here is that you have 3 advertisers each month or whatever. You manage them. The system might kind of rotate between them. But essentially, there's a very, very small number of advertisers with no personalization at all. It's very, very privacy focused, right?
Yeah, I think that the privacy is something I want to control, but I want also the option of maybe making it a bit more specific to the content on the page, right? So I don't want to target the users. I also don't really have information about them, but like specific, PI information, private information. But I mean, I do have like the page itself. Like I know that I wrote about whatever technology, I don't know, like Stable Diffusion. So in that case, maybe I can show a specific ad for a company that uses Stable Diffusion or helps people that create something with Stable Diffusion. Now, one extra part that I want to talk about, because you said it's sponsorships, this could be added to any kind of project. So this really, really tailors towards indie makers and small micro SaaSes and stuff like that, and small content creators, which in my opinion is going to be a huge trend. You're going to see a lot more creators in the next 10 years. So I was thinking that's a way that you kind of democratize. I don't really like to use this word, but everyone's using it. You're democratizing these ad networks to the small person, the small creator, the indie hacker that does something, and you're letting them control their ads and controlling their pricing and controlling the privacy and all of that. I think there is some kind of business here.
So if I were a normal publisher, I would just put AdSense, which is Google's like major advertising network, on my site and then get money from that. The problem is that AdSense, I think in your numbers, would not be very profitable. You will not get a lot of money. And the bigger ad networks, as you mentioned, you're not going to be relevant to them, right? You're too small. So what you want is a midway solution between something like AdSense and something like a big network, given the fact that you have a very targeted, highly effective like audience.
But there's also no ad network, right? If I don't want to connect to the ad network, it's my kind of duty to find the advertisers.
You manage the inventory. The inventory, you choose who gets the inventory.
Okay. Yes, exactly.
A few comments, a few thoughts, really. So first and foremost, this feels like an SSP to it. It feels like exactly a platform that manages, like allows publishers to choose between different ad. The main difference is you're not looking at ad networks, you're looking at individual. This is a relatively simple SaaS. It doesn't do much. There's a form, there's a management console, and there's the way to display ads on the screen. Now, as a side note, displaying ads on the screen in the correct placements and so forth might appear trivial. It also could very well not be for different reasons, but let's not get into that. Let's assume that we're just displaying images, banner ads, basically, right? Now, I love this because I think it solves a need between kind of these two behemoths of industries, and two, you can hone in on the privacy first thing. Sure, customized by the page, but you are like privacy first ads. And the first company that kind of comes to mind, and I'll present my screen here just so you can kind of get a look, is a company called, what's the name? I think it's a Carbon Ads. Yeah, that's that. So that's
Developer Ads.
Yeah, so they're very popular on blogs. They have like Coding Horror, which is Jeff I think his name's Jeff Altwood, the guy behind the Step Overflow. Flavio was a very well-known Node.js blogger and so forth. The View guys, and so forth and so forth. Just for the non-developers in the crowd, very popular developer guys. Now, what they're essentially saying is that they would give you ads that are targeted to designers, developers. In a way, it's similar to what you're saying because they're targeting a highly effective crowd, but it is an ad net. So it's kind of, a lot of different advertisers running around.
So you also need to get accepted. There's this whole deal. But they're doing, it's really cool because it is very close to what I'm saying. I'm just saying, let's remove carbon and you do it yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I like the fact that in your scale, this little bit of manual overhead that you do is not that much, but it gives you higher granularity. And also, as an advertiser, it gives me a more direct connection to the publisher and kind of a better understanding of how my ads will be lit. And also potentially better prices. So think about it from the advertiser perspective. They might pay a very high premium inside those ad networks to reach the crowd that you already have. So it might be that you're actually selling at a lower fee than the networks, in essence, which is great.
And it's a win-win because I'm happy with the price, right? So
love this. We'll mention one thing. As an advertiser, it's difficult, I think, it's an added work to deal with it directly with a publisher. Now, it will work with people who are publishers who are very, very highly targeted and very high quality, like you. It won't work with a lot of SEO type farm website, right? It won't work with it. You want something that's super niche, super valuable, super effective, in very high likelihood lead to a transaction.
So now you're going to my next step of how I would actually make this. And this is a bit weird, but I would do this. Okay. The ad slot itself, the widget itself that's in the website, that's going to be open source. Okay, so it's going to be also tailored to people that are a bit more developer person. It would be developer first. And then you could create like a React component that is these ad slots, and you can put it everywhere. It doesn't need to be a newsletter. Maybe you're creating an open source.
I'm gonna stop you here, unfortunately. As an advertiser, I don't give a shit about your open source ad component. I just want to place my ad and get the fuck away from.
I'm not talking about the advertiser. I'm talking about the publisher.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. It makes it easier for the publisher to reuse the slot in a different kind of inventory, but it will require me as an advertiser to create the React component for you. Or
No.
maybe I'm misunderstanding something.
Yeah, you're misunderstanding. I'm saying that
That's very likely. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
yeah, it's usually happens.
You can sign for it. It's a podcast. It should be fun. Again, not everything is so
Shut up.
serious.
So the thing is, you have that. I'll share it again. I'll show it again just so your brain can comprehend what I'm saying.
Do it very slowly so I can when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
explain to me so slowly and understand very quickly.
So this thing, instead of so if I want to put it,
This thing for the listeners in the podcast, this thing, babe, the right-hand ad slot inventory inside Account's website. Look, it's very.
I don't care about the podcast people. I care about the YouTube.
We're listening to the podcast. Please
Okay,
go
let's
ahead and down.
let's book it.
Now our entire audience.
This part, this widget here on the sidebar is going to be a React component or a JavaScript tag that I put, but it's something that as a developer, I'd really like to put it that way because I could customize it in such a way that it works with my website. Okay. If somebody clicks on it, all of this will also be open source. Actually, no, I'm coming back. This part is going to be hosted, and I'm going to use a token that I register on this hosted website. But this part that is visual on my website, I have control over, and that's going to be open source. And I can decide what the privacy metrics I'm sending to this hosted service. That's what I mean.
So essentially what you're saying is there will be an open source component, which is the ad slot itself. Then on the backend hosted side of things, you get a platform that can kind of allocate those components to various places. So you'll have a place where like one of those slots is on the web page. One of those slots is like maybe in a sponsor listing in an email. One of those places is maybe in like some other place.
Yeah. Now the thing is this, the hosted version will also be open source, but I would probably not want to use it unless I'm a fanatic about controlling everything and wasting my time on it. Because the cool thing is you can create a mini ad network that's open if you use the hosted version. Because this is a new feature that I'm adding to this idea. Advertisers,
because I'm not sure I follow.
When publishers register on the hosted version, everyone knows the hosted version. So they will be listed as potential ad slots for advertisers. So they'll get more people that can contact them. It's like, I'll show you an example. Let me just open it. In Ghost newsletter, just a second. The newsletter that I'm using, the system that I'm using, there's a feature called Explore. Have you heard of it?
No.
Let me show you.
Sure.
It's this. So this Explore shows you a lot of like different newsletters that are using Ghost. Now, a few of these newsletters can also be open source. So I'm, for example, not paying for the hosted version of Ghost, but I'm listed here. I added myself. So you could also have in the hosted version a way for people to find these newsletters or places to put the ad slot. So if I'm an advertiser, I can say, okay, I want to go to Welcome to Hello World and publish there because I see them here. If you use everything that's just open source, you would not be listed here. That's what I'm saying. So there's a reason to the hosted version.
It's not an ad network. It's not. So again, for the people at home listening to this via podcast, which are my people, by the way, as a side note, Account's people are the video people, the kiddies on YouTube, the older crowd like myself will listen to this over podcast like normal human beings while they hit the gym. Not me because I have a dad bod like the other people. So in context to what you're saying, what Account showed was a way that Ghost, a very popular publishing platform, kind of indexes all the different newsletters or like blogs that exist on Ghost. So what you're saying is do the same thing for this idea, but it wouldn't be an ad network where you can choose where you want to display your advertising via the platform. You could just go to that platform and then, fill a form and then basically add yourself there. That's what essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
This would very quickly transform into an ad.
Well, that's a possibility. but I can still control it if I want. And if I want to create a hosted marketplace that's a competitor, maybe I can do that, but that's a lot of work. I don't know. But that's the basic idea. Now, you can do you have a few go-to markets that are pretty cool. Do you want me to continue anything like questions about the product?
No, I'm good. I like, so again, I like the idea because it's like a mid-market product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something between the very small solution, like the social one, and the kind of customized larger ad. Love that. Question is, not only how you get it to market, but more, I think, I like the kind of developer experience of it all. Again, you're building for your own crowd, you're building for developers. But I would say that it should have at least some no-code, very simple to use package interface.
That's part of the go-to-market. So part of it is also making a no-code like a widget or plugin for the major platforms. So for WordPress, for Ghost, all the newsletter providers, whatever it is, for website builders, Wix, maybe Webflow, all those, I would make a drag and drop version too. So that way you can also be listed on those marketplaces as an ad player. So that's one idea. Secondly, because it's open source, you're also going to get traffic from there. And if you publish in the right places, you'll also be quickly promoted and people will think about it, because one of the cool things you can do is actually create pull requests on popular documentation sites that don't have any ads.
So you're surfacing inventory that wasn't there before. You're basically saying, instead of just blogs, basically everywhere that can host a React component, you put that React component there. It's very highly curated, highly visible places that are very targeted. And you can use that as ad. You're basically creating ad inventory from scratch, essentially.
Yeah, kind of like with your bare hands.
So I have two things to say about that. First, you're going to make a lot of people angry because they're seeing more ads than they have before. On the other end, you're going to make a lot of people happy because you're enabling the monetization of something that wasn't previously monetizable. Now, I would say that no sane documentation site would put AdSense on it, right? Because it looks very, very bad. But if it looks like a sponsored listing of a very highly curated product, that's a different thing.
And you approve them, right? It's not going to come automatically like those real-time biddings. You're approving what's going to be there. So I think that's kind of like a middle ground.
In a world where CPC prices are going increasingly higher and everybody's scared for the future of
cost per click, right?
CPC is cost per click. So cost per click, the major metric in which you purchase a lot of ad inventory online. Ad inventory, the sheer amount of places you can put ad slots in. So essentially what you're saying, that in a world where ad tech is becoming a very difficult industry to live in, you're creating more inventory. And that is something that many companies in the past have tried to do. And I think the successful ones think about social media. So Facebook is an ad tech, like Meta is an ad tech, right? They show ads on Facebook. So they created the feed in which you can have very highly curated ads. Amazing. And I'm going to stop this story now because obviously you have more go-to-market churches and I'm going to let you do that. Sorry. Go ahead.
One other idea I had that's pretty cool is a lot of these ad slots that people use, and they usually write it for themselves. That's another thing that I saw. They kind of do that, and they have a mail to their email, and it's kind of very scrappy. One of the cool things you can do is also show a graph of like the impressions in the last 30 days of this specific ad slot. So it's eye-catching when you get inside, and advertisers will see that and be like, oh, wow, this is like interesting, authentic information. And they can also see like maybe live users right now and where they're coming from and stuff like that. So this could actually be in the ad slot, like those big banners you see on the road, which say ads work. And that's everything that's there. Because if you see that and you read it, you're like, yeah, ads work. It's kind of like, so that you can do the same thing, but you have a lot more information because you're actually inside the website. The last, I would say the last thing that I had in mind was kind of creating this indie marketplace for ads and being that household name in the indie hacker community and in the solo creator community, or, indie creators. So people know that if they want to get these targeted ads that they may have like a good arbitrage for the pricing, they should go there. And I think there's like this big gap in the market for that. And I think it could be a cool go-to-market to be like in charge of that kind of marketplace.
So I know quite a few user acquisition managers or people who buy ads for a living, and I feel as if this so the crowd of people who buy ads will not like this. This is not a solution they will like. But there is a more uh, like a higher marketers who are more highly technical, right? Who get kind of the game and how things work on the inside might like that, but they might not have the same budgets that the user acquisition managers have. What I'm essentially saying is you have to understand that I think this would not be a very big business ever. Because what you're essentially saying is you're limiting yourself to the small player, which will require overhead, which might not be easy to do. However, however, I might be completely wrong here because there might just be so much hidden inventory that it would be worth the while.
And also you can always keep this as the kind of entry point and maybe create a big ad network afterwards and kind of separate the two, but have that as an acquisition to the big one. I don't know. I didn't think about that too much, but it is a valid point. You touched about one thing that's interesting. I'm thinking about, what do you think the pricing of this should be and who's paying for what?
We still haven't done go to market, by the way. So we still haven't said how we get it to market. So
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, say your go to markets.
Okay. So I'll answer your question about pricing first. This whole thing smells very kind of developer privacy, kind of cool kid, very snowflake type PC business, right? Very, very PC, the whole thing. So I'm saying, let's drop the complicated pricing models and say, hey, we're not going to charge by impressions. We're not going to charge a percentage of your revenue. We're not going to charge any of that. We're going to charge a flat fee per month. And that flat fee is going to be divided into two tiers. The first tier is very low, $19.99 a month. The only thing you get is a normal website blog where you can have a form, fill inventory, choose the thing, have it displayed. Then we're going to charge a higher tier, about maybe $149.99 for publishers who are a bit larger, right? And they have reached a specific kind of access point, and they want to really monetize everything that they have. So then we'll have the custom React component and so forth. So basically, because the initial product is again, it's pretty simple. It's just a weblog, just a website. It's a very simple SaaS thing to build. So I'd say small fee, get a lot of customers, get it going. If you want the highly customized version, pay a really large fee. I will give you that. That's how I do.
So what do you think about each time someone buys an ad slot, you just take a commission?
So that's what I said. I don't want to cut the commission. It's the obvious thing for the person building this. It's the smarter thing from the pricing perspective. But you have an audience here that's very specific. So I distinctly remember looking at Hacker News and seeing people. So a product would publish a link to itself, and then the pricing page would not have a number. There wouldn't be a dollar sign, right? So people might kind of flip about that and say, "Oh my God, why did you have a pricing feed so untransparent?" So
what you can say 2% of each transaction.
That's also kind of a complicated pricing.
PayPal uses it.
PayPal is a fintech company who literally works by scraping.
I don't know.
A few cents.
Look, people, you can try both and tell us afterwards, tweet at us and tell us who's
Tom
is wrong.
The Tom, okay, obviously. Okay, we'll talk about that.
I don't know.
We'll let the people decide. But the bottom line on the go-to-market side, now that we're talking about pricing, is this: it's a two-sided marketplace, advertisers and publishers, right? So keep in mind that the advertisers part is not your problem; it's the publisher's problem, right? Your problem is getting the publisher to use the platform. So it is a two-sided marketplace, but you don't need to build a two-sided market. You only need one side, which is a publisher. So on your case, the publishers, I would say, yeah, we got to go to the Indian communities and kind of offer that as a monetization platform. And essentially what I would do is I would find a lot of Indians like to talk about themselves. They like to kind of, oh my God, I'm sharing my journey. I will have better metrics. I will show you how much money I make, yada, yada. Find all of these, go into Google, search them, message the folks. They usually are available everywhere, and suggest it to them. I'm pretty sure that this is one of the most out there audiences in the world. It's a very easy audience to reach. talk to them. Go to what's the guy's name? Tyler Tringas, who does the company fund. He has like an indie summit conference type thing. Go sponsor a booth for whatever money it takes, like probably $2,000. Meet some people in the conference. I'm sure we'll get a lot of business, right? In the self-serve SSP for indie hackers. Like I really think that this is one of those things where you can just go to the source and do direct sales. It'll just work.
You gave me another idea that they can actually also put, maybe if they're in the low tier or maybe they're using like just the open source without paying, they can add used by the name of the service. So it has some kind of like virality on all these pages that it's on. The same way, like
a free tier. I'm hiding against having a free tier.
You should have raised that when we said open source, but okay.
I'll tell you why. Not a free tier, like a free hosted tier. The open source is fine.
No, not hosted. If they hosted themselves, like they host everything, then they should add like in the license that it's powered by XYZ.
So I think we'll think about different things. So in my opinion, when I'm looking at an ad, like Google Ads, I don't know if you notice it, but everywhere there's a Google ad, there's a little eye.
The triangle.
Yeah, exactly. So that says like powered by Google Ads. I think it's the same thing with Carbon, by the way, powered by Carbon Ads. So every Carbon ad has powered by Carbon Ads. So I like that for all of the products, even the paid.
Yeah, not just the free ones. Okay.
I did not. For sure.
I'm the greedy person. It's okay. It's fine.
I'm saying we're trying to be as privacy-centric as possible, as transparent as possible. Make sure to tell the people that these are ads.
Yeah. I like it. You flipped it. Nice work. Other go-to-markets before we talk about something else?
Sometimes you just got to pick up the fucking phone and dial. Okay?
First in the email.
Pick up the fucking phone and dial. Seriously. I'm sorry. Direct sales have been working for 50 years. It's going to continue working for the next 50 years. Just go out and fucking sell. Okay? Fine. I'm sorry.
I think that's the look, but okay.
So it offends anybody, but I was born and bred. I got in my teeth on selling, right? I was taught to do that with my bare two hands and mouth and keyboard and phone, and that shit works. End of talk.
Okay. So, competitors. I was thinking about buy-sell ads, but if I'm not mistaken, they're the parent company of Carbon.
They are.
Okay. So, what is your take on the competitor side? Like, what's going to happen here for this business?
Like, if you go on the SEO route or the PPC route, trying to kind of buy your way towards the game, right? Trying to buy your way towards, build your way towards like a good product hit. SSP is a very competitive niche, so I wouldn't go there. Despite the fact that this is what this is, essentially, a developer first, privacy friendly, small publisher SSP, I wouldn't go that way. And to answer your question, that means that the normal SSPs are not really our competitors. So essentially, you have no competitors. It's a business where you're trying to monetize empty inventory that would not have been monetized otherwise. So you're essentially competing against the person's own content, right? Because there would be another content there. That's it. But I wouldn't kind of worry about competitors because, again, this is not it's not something that I think would be highly competitive until this to begin. And I did a little bit of research on it. I haven't found a lot of something that sounds similar. So I'd say that's pretty new.
Okay, 3 last questions I have. What do we think the market cap is? Second, what SEO terms would we use? And third is the moat of this business. And I think we can finish after that.
So the moat, I'll start with the last one. The moat is obviously the fact that you have more customers than the other ones. I think that this will be eventually a race to the bottom, even if you go the transaction route. So people will kind of slowly churn away at your per transaction fee. So you just got to be there first and like put your component inside the website.
That actually means that your pricing is better for the moat, right? If it's just a fixed
Correct.
fee, then
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be one. 2, you said I forgot all of your other questions. So what were your first?
SEO terms. SEO terms, right? Because I don't
As I mentioned, I wouldn't go the SEO route. I'd skip SEO for this. I'm sorry, I know you like it.
The first word I thought was ad slot, but I don't know if that's enough. Like, what is the space? What are the words, the keywords?
So the term is ad unit. You're selling ad units, right? Ad units on the website. And the whole, like a collection of ad units will be the ad inventory of the website, right? Of the publisher. But I wouldn't go though, because developers are not looking for ad units and ad inventory and ad slots. That's not it. Skip the SEO. Build a great website that explains what you do well and do direct sales. Pick up the phone.
Last question, market cap. Where do you think this could be? What is like the range? What's the low end?
As I mentioned, I don't think this is going to be a big business. So I think if you can get a couple hundreds of sites under your belt, that would be kind of the glass ceiling here. That would be kind of the top of the business. Not because they are more than them, but because this is a highly specialized type business. And also, not all sites want to monetize the ads. Like, you have to remember that. And I think that, to me personally, on the website part, a few hundreds of publishers, I think, with very hard work would be the time limit. Try and get them on the 150 plan rather than the 99 plan. And we got a nice 50K, 30K, 45K a month business. That's one.
Sounds good.
It's not bad at all. It's a great business. It's not a big business. It's a nice business. Second of all,
it's a chill in Thailand business. That's what you're
are going. If the 159 thing actually picks up and you're able to monetize a lot of those ad slots that weren't monetized before, you've got a network game here. And if you could build a network of those sites, of those inventory that nobody else has, you can charge a fucking fortune for it. And this will be a very dickhead move to do. You would basically go in the privacy-centric snowflake PC type thing way in, and then you're going to fuck everyone, make a network out of it. And you'd have to write language in the contract with them, enabling you to do that, pulling the rug, quote unquote, under the carpet. But once they see that money is coming in, they might be tempted to join your network.
But if you go that route, you have to put Easter eggs that you were a douchebag from the beginning.
Like, oh my God, you have to have like a kingpin like pin on your website saying,
there should be like the name. If you flip the name, it's like douchebag ads. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like an anagram. It's like like a change of letters inside a word. Like
exactly.
So if you see somebody doing this and calling themselves Shu, know that it's just, there's like a few other letters you're not seeing here that's completely to asshole.
Okay. When we got to this subject, I think we should wrap it up.
What, asshole? Not. You're right. You're probably right. Sitting at home, I apologize for having a very, very dirty mouth. My mom will never listen to this probably, but if you do, I apologize. I know you taught me better. But yeah, that's it.
And everyone comment on Tom's new light.
Yeah, because this is interesting to do. Obviously. But the only one who cares is you. I don't even care.
Okay. Ciao.